Am I wrong to have no desire to connect with my dad anymore? I don't know where to go to get help on this, so I hope it's okay if I post here. I was closer to my dad growing up than I am now. My parents divorced in around 2005, when I was either 6 or 7, so most of my life with my parents had been back and forth trips on weekends, and divided holidays. My mom had custody of me and my brother technically, but there was no separating us from our dad. It was a pretty amicable divorce. We had shared time for years and it didn't seem to affect our relationship with our parents, until I guess when I started high school. My dad used to drink a lot, but I don't remember him as a heavy drinker at all. I just remember him as my dad. Maybe I was too young to notice, because my older brother remembers it more than I do. My dad met a woman who did help him sober up more, but also got him on the born-again Christian pipeline, and it completely changed his personality. My dad met this woman when I started high school, who is now his wife. When they first got together it was fine, but quickly my dad decided to move almost an hour away from our hometown, and still expected me and my brother to fulfill the same amount of visits after school and on weekends. Both my brother and I began to hate going back and forth. I remember I used to get so angry because I was constantly trying to do schoolwork on school nights after driving an hour to go see my dad. I was an honors high achiever type that had a lot of homework, only for him to get annoyed that I was paying more attention to my schoolwork than him. It became a struggle of giving my dad all the attention he wanted rather than what I wanted or needed, and because of this I started to resent him. I resented that he didn't take me or my brother's time into account. One Christmas, he made us drive an hour through a snowstorm on Christmas Eve, and the storm continued through Christmas Day as we drove home to see our mom's side of the family. My brother just had gotten his license and I was 13 or 14. I remember that so vividly because I think that's when I realized his narcissistic tendencies. He changed so much because of his wife. He became almost like a completely different person. He isn't the dad I used to know, and when that started to happen I also resented his wife. Even though, it was probably good for him that he was sobering up because of her. But I didn't recognize him anymore, and I would get into fights with both of them on visits. I hated her for changing him. I didn't feel like I could connect with him anymore. Me and my brother were not raised in religion, we were given the choice to choose what we wanted to believe. But once he changed, he began to try to impose all of his beliefs on us. My brother seems to be able to let it roll off his shoulder pretty easily. For me, it drove me insane. My political beliefs as well are the polar opposite of my dad's. I'm very progressive and he is very conservative. I don't want to get into any debates on here, but I feel like this context is also important to mention because it affected my view of my dad intensely. I didn't want it to, but when it started to involve hate towards women I felt it personally and it hurt. It's like everything I believe into him is devil worship. It's like he feels the need to save me from myself. With all of this being said, it's very hard for me to understand him, and it's hard for him to understand me. And it would be fine with me if we just didn't talk about any of it, but it's like he is a missionary and feels like it's his duty to change me and my entire personality. I've had multiple conversations with him about how I don't want to share our beliefs anymore, because it does more harm than good. It's like an incessant thing that he feels that he needs to talk to me about. I don't feel much of a connection to him anymore. It feels shallow and artificial, and seeing him feels like an obligation or a chore to me. He is trying to stay connected with me and I appreciate that he is trying. He is trying to find basis for what we can connect on that doesn't involve religion or politics. But I can barely give him the time of day anymore. I feel guilty about it, but I'm 25 now and I have so much going on in my life that needs my attention more. I just don't know how to connect with him anymore, and I'm okay with that, but he isn't. He is constantly trying to be in my life, and I feel horrible about it, but I am so much more comfortable with the distance that I've created between us. Everyone tells me that I should try to stay connected more. Am I doing something wrong by not wanting him super involved in my life? TLDR, my dad changed his personality completely and I don't know how to connect with him anymore, and don't really care to.